same bedroom. And it appeared in El Decor. And to me, I love bedrooms because I think that it's a place where the woman can feel really like a queen, and the man can sort of enter her environment and be sort of seduced. You know, when I travel, I buy a lot of things. And if you see this little kid, well, I don't know if you can see it, but he's holding these little wooden containers. How it translates into this bathroom is I use them for Kleenex. Or what's reflected in the window is a marble window I bought in India. And I try to look for things. You know, so many people travel, and when they travel, they buy things that are not related to what their lifestyle is. To me, when I'm traveling, I'm looking at what works. You know, like in Vegas, look at this lady. You know, she's not from Vegas, and she's still showing her breasts here. I was saying in my blog today, there's a lot of well, forget it. I'll have somebody give me that little blog. Don't say that, don't say that. But you know, it's not just what I buy, but how I get influenced. The coloration, this is in Namibia, and the coloration, because they cover themselves in ochre, and ochre. And how that coloration translates to this country club I did in New York. And those are the things. It's always trying to look at what is out there and see how it can be incorporated into what I do. Kids' room, this wall in Burma, that was painted the same sort of color. Or the coloration in this bedroom, how it comes from nature and it gets translated to what I was doing there. This is the same room that had the floor very white. I mean, people say, oh, all you do is white rooms, which is really not the case. It's about more the emotion that is white than the reality that these rooms are white. This is a foyer in California. The mixture of industrial to contemporary lines gets, again, the point of view that I try to put forward in my work, which is taking all different elements and mixing them together and creating environments that have no time relation. You know, it could have been done 10 years ago, it could have been done 2 months ago. It's about creating environments that have a sort of transitional quality to them. Foyer in New York, furniture we've designed, how these stupas in Burma relate to these backs of these bookcases that have been, I used gold leaf in it to bring a sense of shimmer. In California, uses of colors. You know, I always try to look around the spaces where I'm working. What are you seeing out the window? How can those colors be incorporated into the work that I do? And how they can sort of tie the outside and the inside together. I was in Ethiopia, and I was photographing for my book, Crossing Boundaries, which are back here. And as I was traveling, I passed this guy, a shepherd, leaning against the wall, a tree. And, you know, their sense of fashion in Ethiopia, it's amazing. I mean, that he took a leather hide, wrapped it around his waist, the sense of the tan of the leather, the taupe of the scarf, and how that then translated to this room on the right-hand side. You should see it here in the screen that I hear. It looks much better than there. And I've seen it already, so it didn't matter to me. But this is, again, a library. I love sense of rooms that are all one color and how they all sort of create a cocoon environment. For people who say, well, he only does light, but rooms like this to me are very important because I like introverted spaces and extroverted spaces. In Syria, I saw this wonderful wall in the sense of how in this garden outside they incorporated elements that you would think would be in most interiors. And when I was doing this bathroom, I tried to do the same thing, an 18th century mirror, baccarat sconces on either side of this bathtub. So it wasn't just a bedroom, it was an environment that brought things from all through the house. And it wasn't just a bathroom, it was a room, a living room. Detail, it's a shame you can't see it. The island, which is like 16 feet by 8 feet, I incorporated industrial elements. So in here, we used different types of metal, different mixtures of finishes of wood, frosted glass, brought some traditional elements like the model in the center of the table. What you see over here is the corners of the island, and it's like steel, aged steel with rivets in it. So there was an industrial element. The fixture has another point of view, again, all of them mixed together. This is the dining room in the same space. I mixed mid-century chests, which I found in Paris, to the sofa we designed that has a traditional sort of hump in the back, but I created like this slot so you could see through it. In Madagascar, this little girl was sewing this thing that she had embroidered. And when I was doing Crossing Boundaries, I wanted to show elements of things that I found in my travels and how they got incorporated into my space. And the fact that I do not use any sort of patterns normally, but the fact that how in this very neutral room that pillow became a pattern within that space was a way of showing that, it doesn't have to be a pattern room to be able to take an element like that, and it almost becomes an abstract pattern. Living room in California, instead of using one large mirror, I used 3 strips of mirror, so that looks better. You're getting the reflection in the outside in slots, not as a total image. Okay. This was a pool that I did in Long Island and a houseboat in Kashmir that I saw, and how the fact of these blowing curtains sort of in the houseboat can translate to the space below. In Ethiopia, they use these canes a lot, and I bought like 25 of them, and here they are on stands utilized in the space, and how well it sort of becomes like these things that are coming out of the ground. This is Ralph Pucci, who's a furniture showroom in New York, and I did his home. And again, mixture of different types of elements, from the stupas to objects that we design and have made out of marble, to the bedroom of Mr. Pucci's house, and again, something from India, something English, contemporary elements, the usage of photography within the space, in their bathroom, the sense of whiteness with a splash of color. The horizontal lines through the horizontal lines. So it's, we walk around all the time and we look at things and we sort of see them but don't see them. And I think as a designer, to grow, you have to be really aware of what's around you, because you don't know where that next idea is. I find it in travel, but you can find it in walking in the desert, in looking at how hotels here are designed and how one can take an idea of what they're doing and translate it, in your own point of view. What you find in a lake in Burma, how it can translate into a bedroom in New York City, or the sense of romance that curtains can bring to a slanted ceiling in this bedroom on the left. This is in Papua New Guinea, and the objects that are on the table, how they're being used in large scale in this village in Papua New Guinea. The sense of mid-century to wicker, and how the crisscross of this modern piece of furniture works with the wicker chairs in front of the fireplace. Inya Lake, what I bought on the right, how it ended up in the bathroom on the left. An elephant, and how the color of the elephant was part of what influenced me in this room. This was the entrance to this house I did in Malibu. As you came in, you went through this porthole, and then you went up the stairs. And that was the first time I had seen and started, because I was working on designing this house. I was in Kashmir in this houseboat, and the idea of how the frame of this framed the sky was the beginning in creating the concept on the right. These are my 2 books, which are in the back, but here comes the fun part. What questions do you have?